Begin transmission. Vijila here. I was monitoring records of trans history, and I found a disturbing trend. Another historical record vanished overnight. Another piece of trans history erased like it never existed. This time, it's Elagabalus, Roman emperor, or some sources say, empress, a ruler who defied gender norms, possibly the first recorded trans monarch in history. But was this truth? Or another smear campaign by ancient historians to discredit a leader who is gender non-conforming? If they lived today, would they have been on HRT and fighting for their rights as we are? To figure out this mystery, I need more than the scraps left by the government AI bots that are deleting these records. I need the full truth. Alright, let's start with the things that the system hasn't erased yet. The stuff that isn't dangerous. Dio tells us Elagabalus became emperor at 14. Imagine a kid having that kind of power. And yes, you can probably guess it didn't end well, because by 18, Elagabalus was assassinated by his own guards. That's a short reign, but with a brutal end, even by Roman standards. But the records that didn't survive aren't just about war or politics. Most of what historians wrote about Elagabalus wasn't about laws or battles. It was about how weird they were. Or at least, that's what Dio wanted you to believe. Let's see. Dio writes, Elagabalus cared for nothing except pleasure. He disgraced the empire with excess. He acted in ways most unbefitting of a ruler, indulging in unnatural habits and frivolous pursuits. Alright, so classic Dio. The guy loved dragging emperors he didn't like. Every ruler he disapproved of was either too violent, too corrupt, or too effeminate. And Elagabalus was all three, apparently. But here's the thing. What exactly did Dio mean by unnatural habits? What was so outrageous that later historians kept repeating it for centuries? Let's look deeper. Of course, everything's been scrubbed. The government AI bots took anything that could be considered DEI related, which means the most important details gone. All that we know was after he is assassinated, he was subjected to damnatio memoriae, the erasure of official records, destruction of his statues, and damnation of his memory. So he was already erased from history once. Why erase him again? What did they erase, and why? Looks like I'm not the only one asking questions.
Vijila, I was wondering when you would find me.
Nui Nerd, is that you? I thought you...
That handle is dead. Burned. I'm Archivist Omega now. I don't just stream information anymore, I save it. And right now, I need your help. The purge is accelerating. They're wiping anything that challenges their version of history, and Elagabalus is next. Was next. But I intercepted something before it was erased. A critical file that could prove everything. I can't hold on to it. It's too dangerous. I only have one chance to broadcast the encrypted records, but no way to know if anyone's listening. That's where you come in. I've stashed the encryption key for you here.
A dead drop? We're really doing this old school, huh? Where am I headed?
A place where the sun meets the water's edge, at the hour marking the year of death. Sorry for the cryptic answer, but this channel is no longer secure. The answer's in your records. You have the map and the image, but the time, that's for you to solve. Vigilant. Be careful. They're already on their way.
The hour marking the year of death. Elagabalus was 14 years old when they rose to power, but they were assassinated at 18 years old. That's 1800 hours, 6 p.m. That's my window. They're trying to erase trans history. They're trying to erase us, but not on my watch. Looks like I have a mission. Stay tuned. Let's go. course it's raining. This is Seattle. By the edge of the water. Free your mind. All right, heroes, I made it to the spot, but I gotta find the encryption key, and I don't have much time. Let's go. It's almost 6 o'clock. I gotta hurry. All right, I'm by the water's edge. Now what? Something about the sun. Elagabalus was a priest of the sun. So maybe when the sun lights up a specific spot. Hey, look at the duckies. I need to find the encryption key. Where it could be. I'm by the water, which is where Elagabalus was assassinated. I see it. This is it. Gotta get the key out. Look, this is it. This is it. All right, I need to pull out my phone. Oh, I dropped it. Where did it go? Here it is. Okay. It's 5:59. It's just in time for the broadcast. All right, tuning in now. I've tuned into the stream.
Vijila, if you're seeing this, you did it. The stream is live, but we don't have much time before the AI sensors catch on. Here's what they don't want you to know.
The files are coming through. Cassio Dio's account. In Roman History, Book 80, Cassio Dio describes Elagabalus' behaviors that defied the traditional Roman norms. He would go to taverns by night wearing a wig and there ply the trade of a female huckster. He frequented the notorious brothels, drove out the prostitutes, and played the prostitute himself. That's quite scandalous. Sex work is swerk, heroes. Dio further notes Ella's desire for physical transformation. He had planned, indeed, to cut off his genitals altogether, but that desire was prompted solely by his effeminacy. So they're accusing him of being effeminate, going to brothels and playing the prostitute, and wanting to cut off his genitals. Dio continues, Elagabalus did more than disgrace Rome with his luxuries. He cast aside the dignity of a man, dressing in fine silks, painting his face like a woman, and insisting he be called lady rather than emperor. Indeed, he sought surgeons to make his form match his desires, promising a great reward to any who could achieve this impossible task. Thinking. Cassius Dio was no fan of Elagabalus, but think about this. What did he actually witness to write these things? Did he see an emperor who was just decadent? Or did he see a trans woman living in an era that had no language for who or what she was? I don't know if we can trust Dio's account alone. We need to go further.
Vijila, archive this. Make sure they don't erase it again.
That's it. That's the whole transmission. All right, back at the car. Oh, it is cold and wet out there. So, he insisted on being called a lady, and this part, seeking surgeons to make his form match his desires. If that's not gender dysphoria, I don't know what is. We need to go deeper. There's another file here. According to Herodian, another contemporary of Elagabalus, he would adorn himself in garments of the most delicate weaving, applying cosmetics to his face and removing all masculine signs from his body. He despised being addressed as a man and surrounded himself with those who would recognize his womanhood. Womanhood! This is a quote from Herodian in Greek. Herodian also wasn't a fan of Elagabalus, but the accounts line up. So, let's put it all together. He despised being addressed as a man. He surrounded himself with people who would affirm his gender identity. He didn't just dress a certain way, he lived as a woman anytime he could. It even says here that one of his favorite activities was dancing in front of the senators and celebration of his god, the sun god, Sol Invictus. The ancient Romans didn't have a word for transgender, but if Elagabalus lived today, would she have been one of us? So this is what they wanted to erase. Elagabalus insisted on being called a lady. Gone. Elagabalus sought surgery. Removed. Despised being addressed as a man. Rewritten to say that he was merely eccentric. They didn't just erase the person, they rewrote the story. They erased Elagabalus back then, they're erasing her again now. And that's not just history, it's a warning. If they can erase the past, they can erase us. All we can do right now is remember it. I need you to remember this history with us. This trans history that's been trying to be erased. It isn't just history, it's a warning. They don't want us to know who we are, who we always have been. They tried to erase Elagabalus, and they're trying to erase us. But we remember, and we fight back. Alright, I'll see you back at the hideout. Vijila out. So, we've got the facts. We know that Elagabalus rejected being a man. We know that she asked for surgical transition, at least according to Cassius Dio. We know that she surrounded herself with people who affirmed her identity, and we know that historians after the fact tried to erase it. But here's the thing. Does that mean that we should call Elagabalus a transgender woman? We need to research more. In ancient Rome, gender didn't work the way it does now. They didn't have trans or cis as categories. Your status was tied to power, your ability to own land, rule, and dominate others. Roman masculinity was about hierarchy, not identity. It was strictly masculine to give and feminine to receive, so to speak. So, if a ruler openly rejected masculinity, it wasn't just about gender, it was about power. Ancient Rome did have people that lived outside the male-female binary. The Galli, priest of Cybele, would castrate themselves and take on female identities. They weren't called transgender, but they lived as women. That means the concept of transition wasn't impossible, it just wasn't named the same way we name it now. But we also have to be careful. Cassius Dio hated Elagabalus. He might have exaggerated or even fabricated some claims. Sounds familiar.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that? Serious crap.
The Romans loved using gender and sexuality as a weapon against people they despised. Saying an emperor was weak or womanish was their go-to way of discrediting them. And if we just take Dio at his word, we risk falling into the same smear campaign he was spreading. So here's the question. Was Elagabalus truly a trans woman, or was this all political slander? Maybe both, maybe neither. But even if some of this is true, if Elagabalus really did ask to be called lady, really did seek transition, then we'd have something bigger than just the emperor's scandal. We'd have a glimpse of what might have been erased trans history. And that's why this matters. Because history isn't just what happened, it's what gets remembered. And right now, someone out there is deciding who gets to be remembered. So, here we are. We've recovered the deleted files. We've seen the evidence. We know that Elagabalus rejected being called a man. We know that she surrounded herself with people who affirmed her identity. If we believe Cassius Dio, she even sought medical transition. But we also know that she was despised, slandered, and erased. Was her assassination purely political, or was her gender nonconformity seen as a factor in why she was unfit to rule? And if so, does that make her assassination actually a hate crime? And that makes me ask, how many other figures have been erased? How many people like Elagabalus have been written out, dismissed as eccentric, their truths buried under layers of revision and censorship? If we had left it to the system, Elagabalus would have been nothing more than a joke, a footnote, a freak, just like how they want us to be a joke, a footnote, a freak, just like how they want our history to disappear. And it's happening right now, today. The AI purge isn't just about the past, it's about controlling the future. They don't want people to know we existed. They don't want people to know we always existed. But here's the thing about the truth. You can't kill it. Not completely. Not as long as someone remembers. Not as long as someone fights to keep it alive. So I'm asking you, right now, what do you think? Was Elagabalus transgender? A ruler ahead of her time? Or was she just the victim of a smear campaign? Or something else entirely? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk. Remember, the only way they win is if we forget. If you made it this far, you're part of the resistance. Share this video before it disappears. Keep the signal alive. They tried to erase Elagabalus. They're trying to erase us, but we remember and we fight back. Vijila out.